Hello, wonderful viewers. So, what is this video about? What is going on? Why are you flying around aimlessly, Tempus? What are you doing? So, today I figured I'd talk a little bit about professions, and while I will do a lot more on this subject in the future, I just figured I'd talk about it for a little while and fly around aimlessly and give you cool stuff to look at while I dribbled on and babbled senseless nonsense that actually kind of makes sense. Alright, so just before I get started, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's posting those requests. I really love them. I like it when you guys nag me asking for more gold making videos. I actually really do. It's nice to get some community response. I enjoy it. And it's good for me to know what it is that you guys like so I can do more of that and less of the stuff that you guys don't like quite so much. And of course, it's always nice to get requests from people. I've got a whole bunch of videos that I will be doing soon from people that will either have posted in the comments section below, or on Facebook, or on Twitter, or have actually gone in-game and messaged me, and we talked a little bit, and yeah, I've got a long request list. But enough of that. It's time to talk about professions. And why am I flying past all of those lovely nodes? Because this is about the view. It's all about the view, that's all. Okay, now, let's have a look at my profession tab quickly. I mean, it's not really that great. I mean, you've got your herbalism, you've got your mining. I mean, you're a druid, you're allowed to have that stuff. You're a gatherer, it's all good. But what happens if I want to make something? Maybe there's a lovely juicy piece of leather armor that would just look so damn good on me, and I want that. How would I go about getting that, since I don't have the profession of leatherworking? How would I get that? And that's really what this video is about. So I've got my toggle flying endlessly on now, so I don't have to constantly press keys. And the main thing is, there are loads of people playing World of Warcraft, and you can talk to them and get them to make you what you want, and that way you can have the item that you desire, you can get the mats for it, you can have it made, all without having to spend tens of thousands of gold leveling a bloody profession that you're hardly ever going to use. And then you'd have to go and get the recipes yourself, and it would turn into one giant nightmare. And, I mean, it's nice, I won't lie. It is very, very nice if you have the profession yourself. But if you don't, and even if you only have like one character, it's nothing to panic about. It's totally cool. There are lots and lots of ways to get this done. So, one of the first ways is simply to go into, your trade chat and say, look, I'm looking for a leather worker. I'm looking for a jewel crafter. Now, you may want to also specify what it is that you want them to do. So, for example, if you want the stamina gem cut for jewel crafters, you're going to want to say, look, I'm looking for a jewel crafter that can cut me this specific stamina gem, because if they can't cut that gem and they whisper you, it's going to be a waste of your time and theirs. So let them know in advance, in your message, what it is that, what do you want? What is it that you desire? What do you want me to make for you? And then if you're using trade, it is customary to pay a small fee or a tip on top of bringing them the mats. It's generally not very much. Some people will actually just do it for free because they just don't really care and they're just being nice. But, sometimes it'll be like 25 gold or 50 gold. That's a very, very fair tip. Though, of course, going more is always acceptable, and if you have the money to go more, why not? That's all fine. But the other thing is, of course, that you don't want to always have to pay tips, because, let's be honest, that can get quite pricey if you're getting tons and tons of gems cut. It's going to get very, very expensive if you're paying tips for every, 10 gems they cut, for example. So then you go to a guildie, and you ask your beloved guildie, and you bestow upon them lots and lots of hugs or something, and you get them to craft you whatever item it is that you want. Now the thing about guildies is most guilds have the kind of policy where we don't charge guildies. If you're going to get these guys to disenchant like 16 banks full of stuff, you ought to pay them, okay? Because that's going to soak up so much of their time, and they're probably not even going to want to do it. If you're processing that much on an ongoing basis, you probably want to get the profession yourself. But for the occasional item, like that leather working chest piece that really makes your shoulders look big or something, that's when you go to a guildie, and hopefully they will have the recipe, and then you can negotiate with them and get them the mats, and then they will probably make it for you for free, which means no money spent, which is all good when you're trying to save the cash and make the cash. The only thing when going to a guildie is, of course, that if it requires a mat that only they can produce, like a soulbound mat, for example, the moats would probably mean that they might charge you sometimes, because, you know, it's scarce, it's a pain to get them. Even so, most guildies I've run across don't even charge for that, but be prepared, you know, if they want like maybe 100 gold for spending a whole bunch of their moats on you, that seems fair, and you're not even having to pay them a tip, and then you bring them the mats, you get your shiny item, and you go and you save a whole bunch of money that you wouldn't have had to spend on trade. And then the next best part about it is, of course, the fact that you are probably not going to get ripped off by a guildie, because they're guildies, they're happy, they're friends, they love you. But on trade, they will gladly take your mat, stab you in the back, cut your throat, and dump you in oil. So it's really best to go for a guildie if possible. And if you're wondering, how do I find this guildie with what I want? You open up your guild menu, you go to roster, and you'll see over here in the top sort of right hand corner, you've got your view. Now, by default, it seems to be kind of in player status. Now, if we just stop moving because I'm making myself nauseous, we can click down that drop down menu up next to player status, and then you can scroll down there to guild, or rather professions. Just above guild reputation, you've got your professions. If you click that, it shows you all of the people's professions. So we see here we've got somebody with alchemy, blacksmithing, enchanting, engineering, herbalism, inscription, leatherworking, mining, skinning. The ones that are grayed out means that there's no one on, especially right now, because there's nobody online with that profession. So if we have a look over here, we'll see that this guy has 600 alchemy. This guy's got a blacksmithing skill of 1. Not really any good to talk to the guy with a blacksmithing skill of 1. Not going to do you any good. But if we have a look at this person who's got a enchanting skill of 600, maybe I've got an epic, I want him to disenchant. Or maybe I want him to enchant something for me. So you're just going to left click on them, on their name, on that line with their profession, and then it will open up a display with all of the stuff that they have, even though for some reason WoW has decided that it's going to be super laggy. So let's see if we can try a different profession. Maybe that'll speed it up a bit. If it's being slow, it maybe just needs a bit of time to load, which is irritating, but you know, whatever. And if you want to see the professions of people that are not currently logged on, then all you have to do is just click that show offline members box at the bottom left hand corner, and then you can see there it shows a whole bunch of people for every single profession. And this isn't even like one of the massive guilds out there. It's not super massive, but I mean, look at how many people have, you know, these different reputations at 600. You can really get whatever it is that you want. And of course, if they aren't currently online, you can take down their name, maybe send them a mail, or maybe you know who is actually the main character of that person, and then you can whisper them, and at some point they will log an alt for you and make it what you want. So I would recommend guildies for stuff that is not extremely urgent, and for stuff that, you know, you don't want to have to spend money on tips for. Trade I would use for stuff that, you know, you desperately need it, like right now, because a guildie might not want to log right now. He's got his own his own game to play, and you're not even going to pay him. So it's probably best to go with trade when you desperately need it right now, and guildies for when you're prepared to wait a few minutes. And of course the thing with guildies is, if you're going to get them to make something and the mats cost a huge fortune, rather go with a guildie over trade. Most people in trade are actually just honest folks, and they're really nice, but the last thing you want is to get that 0.00001%. I'm going to rip this guy off for the 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 60,000 gold he's just spent on getting these mats. You don't want that. Rather go to a guildie. And that's it. I realise it's actually not a very short video, unfortunately, but I did ramble on a bit, and I apologise for that. I hope you enjoyed this video, and that you enjoy future videos in the gold making series. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter and like me on Facebook for all sorts of news, updates, and to watch other people attack me with maces if I don't post gold making videos soon enough. I hope you enjoyed. Cheerio.